A Wolf Story, Chapter 2. "Run!" screamed Saul. Then the forest wall exploded before a murderous impact shredded beneath a monstrous beast that roared and struck in horrific rage. Only a desperate leap saved Saul as he threw himself to the side, narrowly evading the flashing fangs. He had no time to think, fighting frantically for balance. Yet even in the frenzied encounter, Saul sensed a power and rage beyond anything he had ever known. A glimpse of a glaring red eye that blazed with hellish hate. Almost too quickly for the old hare to avoid, the jagged moss snapped for him again. Saul anticipated the attack and twisted violently to avoid the blow, but the beast was lightning. Sharp edges tore long, burning furrows along the hare's side, and he was hurled, stunned and wounded, into a heap of boulders. Roaring, the beast pounced toward him. But reflexes trained from 100 fierce battles, Saul had already gained his feet. He leapt across the boulders, landing lightly at a distance. Horrified, livid with fear and rage, Saul half turned in panic to flee for the forest. Then he realized he had to distract the beast for a moment longer so that the children could reach the burrow. And even with the thought, he whirled back to face the predator, his entire body electrified, prepared to evade its deadly lunge. Horrible and malignant in the dying light, the beast did not hesitate. It moved after Saul with unnerving hatred, a rumbling snarl revealing 2 knife-like canines that extended to its lower jaw, and Saul knew his enemy. It was a wolf, but it was not one of the ordinary gray wolves that roamed the mountains of the north. This was a monster, a beast as much a creature of hell as earth. Saul had known its kind. Head bowed and eyes glaring with demonic hate, it stalked forward. Blood-stained fangs hung distended and heavy with deaths of the innocent. Saul stared into the merciless eyes, caught the scent of the grave, and knew it was not hunger that drove this beast to kill. It killed only for the pleasure of killing. It was an evil servant of the Dark Lord, a creature that lived to destroy. The dark wolf seemed to sense Saul's thoughts. Slowly, a hideous grin curled the cruel lips. Forest shadows deepened by the descending sun cast them into darkness. The beast halted a space apart, a silent laugh separating the deadly fangs, and then it lowered its black head and spoke. "I have watched you long, Saul," a voice of dirt shifting in the grave. Saul involuntarily stepped back. He could only guess how long this beast had laid and watched, awaiting the chance to destroy his colony. Creatures such as this had infinite patience. For their unholy allegiance to the Dark Lord, they had no higher purpose. "I thought you had seen me," it intoned, "but you never sounded the alarm. Is that because you didn't trust yourself, Saul? Oh, yes, I know you. I know of the great Saul, king of the colony near the deep woods. I have often wished to meet you so that we might embrace." Knifing wounds sliced through Saul's side, but he had recovered himself. His mind was detached, racing, measuring the distance between them and the surrounding rocks and trees. If the beast pounced again, Saul estimated that he had room for one desperate, evasive leap. "You are not so wise, Saul. If you were, then perhaps both you and your colony would all be safe in their holes. But you are a fool, and you are weak." A black tongue flicked out, tasting Saul's fear. The old hare maneuvered for a more defensible position. "What is your name, beast?" he said, stalling. "I know who you serve." Dead eyes narrowed to black slits. "Do you think to trick me, Saul?" Saul evenly held his gaze. "I trick no one." "Yes, you trick me. But by now the little children are safe in the burrow. You have indeed saved them. Only you will die," it laughed. "But one dead servant of the Lightmaker is better than none. Your blood will satisfy me for the day." Saul risked a glance towards the field. Yes, it was clear. All were safely underground. He had always known that his death would come for him like this. He was only surprised that he had defied it for so long. But it was his place to face what the flesh feared to face, protecting those who could not protect themselves. And he had no regrets, for it was the highest service he could render to the Lightmaker. He steadied himself before he spoke, refusing to reveal the fear he felt. "Then I will gladly die for those I love. I despise you. Do your worst." The dark wolf's head tilted, a grin of amusement drawing forward the hideous jaws. "Don't think to deceive me, Saul," it said. "I know you're afraid, and I'm going to make you even more afraid. You are trying to be brave because you know I'm going to destroy you. But I am no fool as you are. I don't believe that you will live forever in some make-believe kingdom of the Lightmaker. Your faith is useless, Saul. Your faith did not save you from this. You serve a God who is weak, as you are weak. Whoever serves the Dark Lord lives by strength. We fear nothing. We take the earth and we destroy what we wish." Carefully, slowly, Saul continued to inch away, subtly increasing the distance between them. Experience had trained him to always seek the tactical advantage. "Useless words," snarled Saul, reacting as much against the creature's lies as its murderous intent. Do you think I'm a child? Do you think I don't know the truth? I am king of the colony near the deep woods, a servant of the Lightmaker. Your lies mean nothing to me. Your flesh is strong, but your days are short. I do not fear you. I will never fear you. Stung, the creature moved mountainously forward, primordial, creating its own night. Saul retreated, maintaining the gap as he spoke. Your doom is upon you, beast. You are deceived. Your master cares nothing for you. He will betray you in the end because you are worthless to him. His true battle is with the Lightmaker, and it is a battle he lost long ago. All you have is your flesh, but the spirit knows truth that the flesh will never know, and I will have victory over you in the end. Though it had not increased its measured pace, the creature seemed to have slightly closed the gap. Saul backed into a boulder, adjusted, and quickly angled to another line of retreat. No, Saul, it is you who are deceived. The Lightmaker is defeated, and now my master awaits the extinction of your pitiful kind from the earth. You stand in the way of victory, Saul, so you must be destroyed. But before I destroy you, I will make you suffer. Yes, I will make you suffer long and horribly, and then, in the end, I will make you know such terrible pain that your feeble mind will crumble beneath me, and you will deny that you ever knew this accursed Lightmaker. It laughed, scornful, and a cold wind rattled through the leaves surrounding them. Carefully, so as not to trigger an attack, the old hare edged toward the dead trunk of an ancient oak. I only suffer because the Lightmaker has not yet ended your days, beast. I do not suffer because you rule the forest or anything else. You rule nothing. I only suffer because I take a stand against you and the world. But even if you destroy me, I will defeat you because you're going to die too, and then we'll stand together before the Lightmaker who can choose between us. Carefully positioning himself, Saul stopped his retreat, and the creature reflexively stopped its advance, confident in its strength, savoring his opponent's fear. The old hare crouched, subtly bringing his hind feet beneath him. Then he dug his claws into the soft forest floor, tensing his legs to leap. Oh, be assured, the dark wolf whispered, there will indeed be judgment, and your judgment is death. Nothing will give me more pleasure than destroying you, your useless faith, and the children who would drag on your faith. And after I have destroyed you, I will give your bodies to the worms of the earth. I hate you, Saul, and all those like you. An unearthly volcanic rage smoldered in the dark wolf's eyes, and Saul saw the massively muscled chest breathe once, deeply. It took all the old hare's control to still himself, waiting until the creature leaped upon him. Only then, he knew, could he make his desperate move. Saul hoped dimly that his powerful bound would carry him beyond the reach of those murderous claws. You are weak, Saul, it rasped. The Lightmaker is a dream, and the dream has ended. Instantly, it was upon him, its thunderous roar shattering the night. Saul reacted like lightning, leaping in a high arch over a fallen oak. But even as he cleared the other side, a dark paw flashed towards him, and a deadly blow struck him full in the chest. Saul felt claws tear deep, hot wounds across his side, spinning him through the air, stricken and torn to crash brokenly against the ground. Devastated by the cruel blow, Saul rolled numbly on the forest floor, struggling frantically for breath and consciousness. So powerful was the impact that for a moment he lost sense of time and place, gasping, only dimly perceiving where he was. As light rising slowly through the fog, his consciousness returned, and with it came the agonizing sensation of a mortal wound. Saul rolled dazedly onto his back, and behold, a nightmarish shape looming over him. Foul breath descended. Killing you will be my pleasure, the dark wolf snarled, its eyes gleaming with evil thrill. I have won. Hellish jaws shuddered, revealing jagged rows of fangs tinged with the blood of the fallen foes. Saul gasped for breath, speaking numbly. I despise you, beast, but I pray for you, for the Lightmaker is coming, and your end is near. Only a brief moment did the dark eyes cloud, slavering jaws halting their descent. Then the black lips shook, drawing back a hideous snarl, and a rumbling growl broke loose from deep in its cavernous chest. Saul closed his eyes. The intruder's bellowing yowl hit Saul's ears at the same time that the furry shape hurtled through the air to smash against the dark wolf's head. A long leg flashed out, raking a bloody furrow across the beast's snout. Stricken with rage and roaring in pain, the creature snapped on empty air as the giant hare leapt away, laughing. Saul was forgotten in the dark wolf's maniacal rage as its bloodthirsty jaws snapped again and again after the intruder who had launched this suicidal attack. Wingate, Saul gasped numbly, shocked and dazed. It took all his broken strength to rise from the ground, yet he gained his feet in time to see Wingate disappear beneath a bush. The black wolf leapt after him, unable to reach within the thick branches. "Ha!" Wingate mocked. "You may be ugly, but at least you're stupid." In a flash, Wingate raced from the bush and burrowed beneath another one. The monster roared savagely and leapt after him, deadly fangs missing the soft fur by inches. Wingate shouted and taunted, allowing those close jaws close enough for a touch, but never more. For all his burly size, the mocking hare moved with blinding speed, never ceasing, never tiring. Within moments, he had lured the wolf deeper into the woods, where it roared and struck demonically in its wrath. "Hurry!" Saul turned towards a voice behind him. It was Benjamin, another elder of the colony. Benjamin's old head, with his wild gray hair stuck out in all directions, appeared from behind a bush. Numb from his wounds, Saul gasped, "I'll not leave Wingate alone. Hurry, Saul, we have a plan. We won't leave Wingate to the beast." Saul heard Wingate dashing about, now here, now there, but he knew that the game would soon be up. If Wingate were left alone, eventually the beast would wear him down. But he also knew that his friend was too smart for a suicidal attack. Wingate would not have done this without a plan to survive. With a last quick glance, he turned and ran after Benjamin. The elder quickly led him across the field, halting in the middle. Saul could see that they were only a few feet from a well-hidden burrow hole. From a distance, the wolf would not be able to see it. The beast would believe that they were standing in the open field far from the main burrow, located on the far side. "Now stand up," said Benjamin. Saul stood on his hind legs, sensing a gathering pain in his wounds with each passing breath, and felt blood seeping from his torn side. "Aye!" Benjamin shouted across the field. Within the forest gloom, they saw the beast halt, red eyes glaring insanely out of the darkness. "Here we are," Benjamin shouted, "and we are not like him. We will fight you out in the open. Come and face us, monster, if you dare." Only a frozen second did the wolf hesitate. Then Saul and Benjamin struggled to keep themselves as it tore savagely free from the forest, leaving a gaping hole in the brushy wall. Face blackened even more in its rage, it hit the open field in a horrifying run, its long, lean legs devouring the ground before it as it closed the distance with terrifying swiftness. Within seconds, sure and certain death was nearly upon them, its nightmarish jaws distended. Yet even as the dark wolf closed the final few feet, Saul saw Wingate's burly form running swiftly from the forest edge toward the burrow hole at the opposite end of the field. Then Benjamin threw himself down the hole with Saul beside him. But the monster must have sensed the trick, for without missing a stride, it turned, the dark shape sailing swift and low to cut off Wingate from the burrow hole. Wingate saw the creature turn towards him, but did not alter his path. He was now committed. He would reach the burrow ahead of the beast or die in the open field. Wingate hurled himself forward with every desperate flash of his long legs, while the dark wolf closed the remaining distance with supernatural speed. They reached the burrow together in a final frantic leap. With all his great strength, Wingate threw himself across the foaming fangs that seemed to snap shut around him. Then he was tumbling down the burrow hole, dazed but alive, as a thunderous impact blackened the sky above him, and night descended in a demonic roar.